guys, happy Wednesday. As always, I am your host, Priscilla Moy, and welcome to The Hot Seat with Priscilla. Like last week, I did tell you guys that we kind of revamped the show. You're used to seeing me on the show Undiscovered, but we actually changed it up a little bit just because of some people that were uncomfortable with the name. And then also, I just kind of want to revamp. I felt that it was time. I had a lot of viewers out here, a lot of people want to be on my show, and I thought, let's just raise the stakes a little bit for me and for our guests. And of course, because the hot seat is going to have amazing guests on it from here on out, high quality, high standard, just amazing stories, great people from entrepreneurs, entertainers, singers, dancers, fitness people, whatever it is that you want your story to tell, they're going to be sitting here and I will be getting the story out of them. Today, we have two amazing guests. The first one is an athlete, he's a choreographer, he's a dancer, he's a fitness trainer, he's a chef, he's all the above, and I cannot wait to get to the bottom of his story. And then our second guest, we have a businessman who graduated from Harvard, who is on the Marquis Who's Who list 2 times in a row on the Fortune 500 and the Wall Street Journal. And he also just so happens to have a production company and does movies. What I love about Vegas is that when I have people on these shows, they do so many different things, and there's so many opportunities for these people to go out there and give Vegas a big name for itself. So right after the break, we're going to meet our first guest, and he goes by LockedIn Dre. And you may have seen him on yesterday's Vegas View right here on social media shows, but today I'm going to be focused solely on him and his story, and he will be able to tell all of you guys what he's about and how he's going to conquer Vegas. So I'll see you guys right after the break.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Hey guys, and we are back with The Hot Seat with Priscilla. And as I mentioned, our first guest, LockedIn Dre, has a lot going on. He's got a lot to offer Vegas. He's here. He's been here a little bit, but he's here to show you what he's made of, and he's new to the scene in so many different areas. Everyone, please welcome LockedIn Dre. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for being on my show, my first episode of The Hot Seat. And I would not have wanted to know with anyone else. And you look amazing. You fit the role, and he's here with swag, everything like that. So yesterday you were here in the studio. This is not your first time being interviewed, correct? And so I promise I won't cry. We're going to make this about you. We're going to 100% focus on Dre. That's what this show is going to be about. So as I kind of, prefaced our audience, you have a lot going on. With your physique, they can tell fitness, athlete, probably a model, lots of things happening. So tell us a little about your history and what you've done so far.
So, originally from San Diego, California, moved out here about 4 or 5 years ago. Been floating around the scene. I've been in fitness my whole life since I was a kid. Actually started doing my own personal training. As soon as COVID hit, I was working at a gym, and then I started doing my own training. I started taking people to the beach, taking people to the parks and whatnot, and then I ventured into MMA a little bit more than I was in the past. And so I started doing personal training, and I kept on doing MMA as well. And then I figured, I might as well start cooking more often because I was saving a lot of money that way. And I'm actually a vegan. So there's a few vegan options out here, but I like to cook my own food for the most part because I'm always on the go. I'm on the road, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I just like I eat for purpose over pleasure. So what that means is I can eat pretty much the same stuff non-stop because I'm eating for a specific purpose to get my gains and from the gym and whatnot, you know what I mean? So again, doing personal training, doing MMA, I've been doing some modeling as well. For the social media, I have an agent, and he's connecting me with various different brands. And so, there's multiple things that I do. I'm just trying to hit every single market that I can. I'm young, I have the energy, the vibration, the frequency is there. You know what I mean? So
Right.
as many things as I can do, I don't believe in saving energy. I want to be able to do as much as I can. The more things I can do, the youthful I stay. My diet's on point. My nutrition is great. I'm very spiritual. My vibration is at a high level at all times. Just recently started doing the acting as well. Last year I was in Magic Mike, real brief. In the scene and behind as well, and that was my first introduction to actually how the whole lights, camera, action, the production works, and the camera and being on set. And once I started doing it, I just fell in love with it.
Right, it's something you can't get anywhere else.
It's
a different type of feeling.
a different type of high.
Yeah.
It's like a drug, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels great.
Yeah, and I can't wait to touch that. I want to go back to a little bit about your fitness because I think this is going to touch with a lot of people.
Okay.
You know, you're vegan. Have you always been vegan, or is that something that you kind of, stumbled upon as you were doing, a lot of your fitness training?
Right. So I actually became vegan 7 years ago. I got food poisoning.
Oh.
You ever had food poisoning before?
I have not, but
Yeah,
I've heard
well,
really bad
I hope
things.
you never do. I hope they never do either. So I got some food poisoning from some type of chicken, and once I got the food poisoning, I was actually ill for about 10 days.
Wow, that's a long time. Mostly I
Yeah.
hear max is like a week.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more than food poisoning, but I just, just thugged it out when I was at the house for a little minute, and then I did research on how to actually still be strong and still be able to go to the gym and perform without meat. I was like, I'm not going to do the whole vegan route. That's too extreme. That's doing too much. And I did a lot of research, and then I experimented with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a vegetarian for about 3 to 4 months, and I felt like I was halfway in, halfway out.
Yeah.
So I did more research, and then I did more experiments on myself being a vegan, trial and error. Then I finally maximized and seen exactly what I need to do. And that's what inspired me to start cooking more.
That's great. Because I think a lot of people, the fitness world, when they think of vegan or vegetarian, in their mind, they're like gains, protein. Right? So I think the question I want to ask you is how did you balance that for finding, vegan options? Because you're very built. You have a great form. I saw a lot of pictures of you and videos of you, and so it's not edited. It's great. So how would you tell the audience, people who are vegans, who are struggling with that, what they can do?
You would have to do a lot of research. You'd be surprised on how many different vegetables and grains you can get as far as protein goes. There's, like I said, I did a lot of research and I found out there's so much protein in different type of rice, vegetables, sweet potatoes. Everybody thinks that you just, in order to get protein, you need it from the meat, right? And milk and things like that. Now, I'm not knocking that lifestyle, but it's just not for me anymore. Now, I have friends, I have family that aren't vegan at all. I'm the only vegan in my family, right? And so everybody thinks, I'm crazy and whatnot. But if you do your research, do extent research, and you gotta experiment for yourself. I do understand that some blood types, they need meat. That is just, that's not my blood type necessarily. And so you gotta find a happy balance,
And knowing your body, right?
You have to know your body, exactly.
Yes, and that's great. So you mentioned a lot with MMA fighting, UFC, but you've done a lot of sports in the past. Because I did see your amazing resume. What sports have you done back in the day before fighting, unless that was also included in sports?
So how it happened was, growing up where I grew up in San Diego, I used to have a lot of fun playing with, I was a bad kid, and I had a lot of energy. And so it just so happened that the areas where I wanted to have more fun with my friends, it wasn't the greatest areas, and we would get into some things that we shouldn't have did. And fighting was one of the ways I was releasing my, a lot of my energy and vibration. And then I took the fighting into basketball and football.
Okay,
So I was playing basketball and football since I was a kid all the way up to college, and then I just revamped and went back to the MMA.
Oh, that's great. So is this your first time, professionally training, or have you also did professionally training also alongside with the basketball and the football, or that was just more like street?
Nah, that was for the actual fighting, it was more so just in the street, just having fun and doing stuff like that. But actually being in a controlled environment, this was my first time. I started taking it more serious.
Yeah.
So I've been floating around for some years, and then last year I took it even more serious. And so, like I said, I I have a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So are you thinking of maybe taking that to the next level, or is that something that you just want to harness the craft for? Because I know some people are like actually being like, you know what, I don't care how late it is in the game, I want to be out there fighting.
Well, I mean, you never know. As far as now, I really enjoy harnessing the craft and getting the discipline from it.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I've been doing some training with some professional and amateur level type teams, different gyms in the whole of Las Vegas as a whole. And like I was telling you, martial arts is something that has kind of helped me escape from a lot of things I used to be involved with in the past.
Yes.
So to have a market to where you can actually control it and learn the discipline, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, the discipline and the obedience and the paying attention to detail.
Exactly,
because I did do a lot of stunt training and Muay Thai training, so I've been in those gyms, and I know like what it takes to actually, because you can hurt someone. And like in this field, like yeah, they look like they are, but you don't actually want to really hurt if you're actually doing all these things. So you have to learn how to recognize and move with another person, and that's not kind of letting your anger go above and beyond. It's literally about the sport.
Sport, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now that, we talk a little about that, and so I'm kind of getting a feel that your athleticism kind of just carries on throughout all of your career.
Right.
And so when you mention with the HBO Magic Mike, so this is a reality show, and it's actually streaming on HBO Max right now. There's about 7 episodes, and there's like 10 contestants that came to Vegas trying to, find themselves while also auditioning to become a Magic Mike dancer. Now, I was involved with the show. As more of like a background and audience member or interacting with the guys on camera. But you were a choreographer, dancer, and you also just kind of played a role in there as well, because you have the look. You would actually, you've seen Magic Mike Live, the show?
Yes.
There's many guys that kind of do really look like him, the build, but they're very skilled in dancing. Like out of all the male shows in Vegas, they are the most skilled in like professional trained dancing, which is very impressive. It's more than just male strippers, whatever.
Right.
So when it comes to that, have you had a lot of training in dancing?
Not really.
So, okay. Well, that's great then that you got hired. So then tell the audience how it came to be that you got hired to do so many moving parts in the show.
So this is how it happened. They reached out to me. They see my social media. Social media nowadays is everything now. And so I had a lot of different clips of me just messing around dancing, just playing around. And then, I have a certain type of appeal that for the crowd of Magic Mike fits the program. So they had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. So I spoke to my team, and we made the decision. Let's move forward with it. But prior to actually being on the show, this was months. You had to learn certain choreography. So you have to send in audition tapes and the whole 9. So there was about 3 to 4 different audition tapes I had to send in prior to actually accepting the role. So they seen that I did in fact know how to dance with them without my shirt, and do all these crazy aerobic type moves and stunts.
Just for performance, right?
Exactly.
Selling it,
That's it. Yeah, you got to sell it. You got to get in the action and feel like you're a part of this actual grand show.
Yeah.
So it was great.
So I think this was the moving point for you, though, that really got you into being like, hey, this might be for me. Apart from just like social media, you're looking at a different level of exposure, different on-camera work, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So was it hit on like was it like an adrenaline kind of thing, or
it
was it you never had this dream prior to doing?
No, I didn't. So I've always had some type of dream or aspirations of being behind the camera and being on a magnitude of greatness and working on a professional level. Now, I've had a lot of experience with athletics, so I had no problem being in front of a camera and being in show business. But when I got the opportunity, I took it. And then when I got on set, I seen how everything works, and it was just, like you said, it's a high. The adrenaline is, it's amazing.
It can reel people in really fast, but it also spits people out really fast because it's such a tedious, but very high maintenance, and also you have to be a very strong-willed person to be able to continue to do it. Like you've seen the hours that it takes to just do like maybe a 2-second scene. If it even makes the show.
Right. A lot of times, a lot of those don't make it. But my experience with athletics, being sports, when I came to this world, it was, to be honest with you, it wasn't as hard as being on the court or on the field at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and being physically active it's a different aspect. I'm not saying that it's easy whatsoever, but for me, my adjustment was just a little bit different because I come from a background of tedious work, physical tedious work.
So this is made for you.
Yeah, this is amazing.
So now that you've done a couple of interviews I've seen online, and then you've also been in the studio yesterday. Obviously, you seem like a natural, but you also told me that you want to get into the movie business. So what is your dream with that? What does you want to accomplish? Do you want to also write? Do you want the whole thing with film, or do you want to be an actor, a stunt double? Like, what's the vibe?
No, I want to do everything. I want to act. I want to be a stunt double. I want to direct. I want to produce. I love everything about the whole art industry. I also work with music as well. I'm a music producer and engineer. I just have a great eye. I have a great ear.
Yeah.
You know, I know what somebody can do, and I know, where to put people at, and just the whole art behind it. I have a very, very strong passion for it.
Yeah, and you have the confidence too, and that's a big thing to have.
Big.
Without being too cocky, right? It's like that humble confidence in yourself and who you are, and being very self-aware, which I feel a lot of people don't know. You know?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people see me and they just automatically think I'm a certain way. So they actually have a conversation with me and see I'm more than what you see.
Right.
I'm very spiritual. I'm real big on vibration, frequency, energy, and so. But I have an appeal that goes for a certain nature as well. You know what I mean? So I know where I fit in.
So let me ask you a really hard question. What would be the biggest misconception about you then? If the viewers are seeing you for the first time today for who you are, what is something that's carried on since you were younger up until now?
Just, the way I look. Some people may think that I'm, like you said, maybe too cocky or too conceited, or whatever the case may be, just because of my frame, my build, and how I look. But the thing with me is I take very, very tedious procedure in my grooming, my fitness, and my spiritual nature as well, my mental. So I feel like if you take complete control of how you look and how you feel and how you walk and how you talk, the whole nine, don't play with yourself, nobody else can play with you. So I take my craft very, very serious. I cut my own hair, I groom myself, the whole nine. I like to depend on myself, and I know what I can do to make myself look good. And if I look good, I feel good.
It's great. It's the self-awareness that a lot of people lack, which I absolutely love. And I love that you have the work ethic that makes you know that, you're just going to continue to work harder no matter, even if you make it, right? There's always something you can improve on. I think that's when you get, with sports, with being very, tedious on your life and being very, you have a dream and you want to make sure it works out. Because especially in this business, like, there are a million people that they could choose that look like you, but what sets you apart from someone else? And I think that's a question a lot of people need to ask themselves when they're in this job, right? So you are pretty big on social media, and that's what's gotten you a lot of jobs. Now, I notice TikTok, now that, a lot of things will come up, he gets a lot of women attention, and so I did ask permission. He does allow me to use the word thirst trap, and that is kind of what it is. And it's not a bad thing. Honestly, I mean, it's gotten you some jobs. It's getting you a lot of followers. Do you feel that that's kind of pushing you towards where you want to be, or do you feel like it's holding you back a little bit?
As far as the thirst trap goes, I mean, the thing is, what you see online and what you see in person, they can always be two different things, right? So a lot of people that aren't in this industry, they see certain thirst traps online, and what they don't understand is a lot of those type of thirst traps and those type of content can land more jobs, more gigs. You can clean it up. You don't have to go, too crazy with those type of posts. But again, the directors, the producers, they want to see engagement. They want to see if you have a certain look, a certain feel. They want to see the audience, how they're going to react to certain things you do. They want to hear your voice. They want to see if you have a certain appeal, right? Whether you're a man or a woman, there are certain things that you need to do to post online, right, to get more feedback and land more jobs, like you say. So.
Yeah.
Well, me personally, I don't mind the type of posts I actually put out there because they're not anything too provocative, nothing too crazy. But for me personally, I don't need to show too much skin and do something too crazy to get a lot of feedback on certain posts and things of that nature. So
there's just a lot of people that are always like, oh my God, like, you're posting all these things, but you want to be serious. All these people saying these things, and I know. Sometimes people are like, oh no, like, I want to be taken seriously as this, but all people see of me is the character I play in social media. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all, because you got to play the game. Social media is there for, it's like free marketing. You can market yourself however you want to market yourself. And so now that you want to kind of push further, are you going to keep that but then add on to it, or are you just going to kind of build and be like, hey, like, this is me?
Well, to be honest with you, in the prior to the making my account kind of private and clean it up, I was posting a lot for more so the women, right, and more of a sexier type of appeal. But that wasn't more so what I wanted to do personally. I just wanted to do that because the feedback, the whole nine, etc. But now I came to a realization that I want to be more of myself and clean it up, be more professional. So I went on a little hiatus, made my accounts private, you know what I mean? Actually deactivated my IG, but I'm gonna bring it back. I didn't delete it altogether, just deactivate it, take a little breather, I'm gonna clean it back up. And I want to post more professional pictures and photos, videos of short films.
Yeah.
I want people to see more of my personality as opposed to just sexy appeal, thirst traps.
Like in one box. And that's why I kind of wanted to push that question and I love what you said, that you kind of were on your own journey to finding, like, who am I going to market myself as? Not saying that that's not you, but, there's a lot of people that stay in one box because it works, and then they kind of struggle with getting out of it, and then wonder why people don't see them as something else besides the box they put them in, right?
Exactly.
And so that's something I always like to preach to people that are new to this industry, is that, if you struggle looking a certain part and wonder why you can't get other things and other opportunities, it's all about the way, if you have that opportunity, that talent, that kind of content to post it. Don't let anyone put you in that box, right? And I think you are the perfect example, because you can do so many things, and I really wanted you to tell the audience today all of those things that you're able to do. And so is there anything coming up with you? Like any short films? I know that you want to post some of those things. Yeah. Any movie opportunities? Anything up?
Yes, ma'am. So this year, actually, there's a lot of work. I can't say too much, but there are a few movies I'm actually in the works of.
Oh, that's great.
At the moment. Yeah. I can kind of give you a little bit of piece. Would be a lot of martial arts type movies, and maybe a few cowboy movies as well.
Hey, you fit the bill. It's Vegas, and I love what you're representing, and I love that you're here in Vegas trying to make that happen. I think it's an up-and-coming city. There's so many new things coming on, and I want to make sure all these people out there that are making movies, producers, writers, to keep him in mind. He's got a great head on his shoulders. And where can we find you? Where can they find you and contact you about these inquiries?
As of the moment right now, you can find me on my TikTok. It's LockedIn Dre, all one word, LockedIn Dre. My Instagram is the same, and then you can also email me at lockedindre@gmail.com.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you. I'm so excited. I hope that you come back on and you get to update us about any movies. We'd love to promote you. I love to promote you, and please stay in touch with us at social media shows. You're an amazing guest and a perfect first guest for my new show, The Hot Seat with Priscilla. So when we come back, we're going to have another guest, and he's going to be kind of switching gears a little bit, mixing business and show business. Basically Vegas in one, right? All right, guys, make sure to stay tuned and see you after the break.
Social Media Shows is a production company based here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We offer these services. We've been streaming shows live in real time for over 4 years on major social media platforms, and also on our website, socialmediashows.com. And we are now on Roku TV. We welcome you to have your own show on our TV network. Call us 651-955-8743 or email us at admin@socialmediashows.com.
How amazing was Dre? I love his energy. I love what he stood for, and I'm really glad that I was able to get him in the hot seat to interview him personally, no one else, and really get down to the story. I think that he's got a lot to tell. He's got a lot to offer Las Vegas. All right, so on to our next guest. As I told you, we got a guy that can do it all. He's a Harvard grad. He's Marquis Who's Who. He's in magazines, Wall Street Journal, Fortune 500. He's got his own radio show. He's got a production company. I mean, what can't this guy do? Like, my mind is blown. Where do we even begin? Right? All right, so everyone, welcome Tom Hillery. Hi,
I want to meet the guy you're talking about.
I know. Well, you know
good.
what? You know what? Today is our first episode of The Hot Seat, and you are, my sir, going to sit on this hot seat, and you are worthy. With all of those things that you can do and have done, you are worthy, sir.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for helping me raise the standard to the show. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure meeting you. Like, this is the first time we met. You know, we never met before, and so I looked into you a little bit, was able to just gather as much info as I could, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, it's so knowledgeable. Like, where do I begin? Okay, start. You know, you're a very well-educated man, and I love that. From the East Coast, right? You're from Boston, or yes?
It's 5 generations in Massachusetts.
Period. And you love someone who loves where they're from, right? And you're proud. So, now you made on all of these things. What was your start like? You know, what was your main goal? What were you working towards?
Well, I always had this desire to tell stories, and when I was a real little child, I wanted to make comic books. And as time goes on, I got a little bit older, I wanted to make movies. And it's really tough to do that in New England, first and foremost because of the weather. You know, you can't count on sunshine out there, so you deal with that issue.
So.
You understand what I'm talking about.
I get it.
Okay?
Yeah.
But California is a great place. It's the movie capital of the world, but it's also it's a little more crowded than I felt like living with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out I could drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles in 6 hours, including stopping for lunch, I said, you know what? I'm going to do Las Vegas. And here I am.
And how long have you been here?
Moved here 15 years ago.
Yeah, so you've probably seen a lot of different things change, how the city's changed, how it's evolving, the different types of people that come and go, right? And I'm sure it's really inspiring to you as like a writer and to create movies, right? Because that's how you moved out here. Now, in the beginning, when you were studying, you know, you made it on this amazing list. Like, tell us about this, because I'm like, how do you get in the Wall Street Journal? How do you get on Fortune 500? And you just keep doing it year after year after year.
Well, I have to admit, it all started out with the Marquee Who's Who listings.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones who have, Marquee is the Who's Who that's been around since 1898, so, you know, I'm not saying this to boast, but when you're looking for the Who's Who books,
that's what I'm saying.
It's the Marquee books, it's not the other company that calls itself Who's Who, and the other biographical reference work, so go for Marquee.
Yeah.
Is the point, and got introduced to them. I can't remember now. It was back in the 90s, and at that point, I actually had a brief career in politics at that time. I was elected to the Board of Assessors in the town of Sudbury, Massachusetts. So I was sending everybody their property tax bills. Some were offended by it. Some thought it was a badge of honor. Look what I can afford. How much my place is worth. Ha ha.
You were that guy.
It was a good time there. But that wasn't really where my heart lay. My heart lay in the creative arts, and that's what I always wanted to do.
Because that's what I really want to get down to, like the beginning of you. Like, you know, you're here now with movies. You might have always had that dream, but that's not always where you found in the beginning of your success. Like, you made it on Marquis Who's Who for this. I know you do patents, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that kind of like your business? That's kind of how you made it on there.
Well, no, actually, I came fairly late. What happened was I was doing all these screenplays, and you can write screenplays a lot faster than you can put them into production. So during the downtime, of course, the creative juices keep flowing. And the first thing I thought was, cell phones, they feel like kind of uncomfortable in your pocket because they're rigid.
Yeah.
But if they could just bend just a little bit.
Yeah.
So they felt right in your back pocket, that would be a really good thing. So fortunately, a friend of mine, Fred, we go back to first grade together. And he had like 25 U.S. patents issued to him. And it just so happens that he moved out to Arcadia, California many years ago. So while I was trying to get going in Hollywood while I was still living in Massachusetts, I was able to stay at Fred's place.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes. You know what I mean?
And during the downtime, he said, Tom, that flexible cell phone thing you're talking about, that's a good idea. Why don't you patent that? And I'm going, sure, no problem. You want me to build a car in my backyard too? He said, come down here, I'll show you how to do it. So that's how that got started. And that sort of snowballed, and I got a few other patents after that.
Yeah, but that's amazing because it kind of brings back to you being, oh my God, like my creative juices, this is launching me, right? And you're doing all these things, and one thing leads to another, you didn't think it would go, but then it all comes back to you being a writer. Now, is that your main thing when it comes to the arts, is writing, or have you Is that's your main passion?
Yeah, you see, originally I thought I was going to have these brilliant screenplays, and I was just going to get on a plane and stop in Los Angeles and meet a producer and say, "Hi, look at the greatest screenplays you've ever seen," right? So, wow, here's a six-figure check for an option. Didn't quite work that way.
Right.
Surprise.
Right.
But yeah, so long, tedious process. But finally, we got the movie into production. As a matter of fact, tremendous coincidence. The first script I did is still the one with the biggest star, Eric Roberts. He's a Golden Globe nominee in Project Solitude, Buried Alive. And my local distributor just got that placed on Tubi TV. I found out yesterday.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
A big announcement. A perfect time for you to be on this
Project
show.
Solitude, starring Eric Roberts on Tubi TV.
So all of your screenplays, like they're part of your production company that you manage, but you own it. Or did you start this in hopes of you writing it and kind of controlling the way that you do Hollywood, basically?
Yeah,
right?
Well, you have to start somewhere, and you usually start with you've got a remote control in your hand, and you're looking at a TV set, and you go, and you keep doing like that until your right thumb becomes very strong, so you're not finding what you want to see. So when you get that big right thumb from your clicker, you know you've got to start creating things. So that's when I started writing scripts.
Oh, that's amazing. And where do you get your inspiration from?
I'm not sure. It just sort of.
It's just in you.
It
just comes to you. Like you are an artiste. I get that vibe.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that because you just write because you love it, not because you're looking at it and being like, I'm going to do this in hopes to only get fame, fortune. You know, there's a lot of people that do it for the wrong reasons, and very rarely do you meet people that stick to their motive from the beginning, which is they love it or they want to make a difference. Right, and I definitely see that in you, and I love that because you moved all the way across the country with just your scripts and being like, "Hi, notice me," which I love. That's what everyone's dream, right? And the difference with you is you made it happen. There's a lot of people who do that and they get so beaten down by the industry and by the circumstances, right? How hard it is, the money, the time, who, what, where, when, who am I, right? Like. So, and I love that. And so what has your journey been like since that first time you went out to Hollywood with your script till now?
Okay, well, I had a little bit of an unusual background for this because actually my bachelor's degree was in economics. And I worked in the trust department of the bank for a while. So before I tried to make creative things happen, I actually learned something about this is a checkbook. When it goes to zero, that's bad. This is a credit card. When it says minimum payment, don't do that. It will get out of hand. So I had that stuff figured out first, so I could figure, okay, this is what it's going to cost to move out there. This is what the cost of living is like out there. The people in the creative arts really, I say, Ollie, please, take a look at your credit card statement. Take a look at your checkbook. Okay, because the world, no matter how good you are, they're not all just waiting to give you a six-figure check to do your first movie.
Right.
So you've got to know how you're going to pay the bills before you can actually start, we hope, making money creatively. And the other thing I always tell people on this is, because there's been a lot of disappointment in Hollywood, as you can imagine, the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, that's not original with me. You've got to figure out what makes you feel personally successful. You could be a successful actor in a barn in Vermont. If what you want to do is local theater for your local community in Vermont. That's what makes you happy, right? Yeah. So understand what is going to make you feel like it was right and I did something good and I'm happy with my life, because if you have a certain goal that you're not going to reach, then you're going to end up unhappy. I'd like to see everybody be happy. Not everybody's going to get rich by any stretch of the imagination, but everybody can be satisfied.
So what is your happy? What is your success?
Oh, just seeing the characters come to life on the screen.
Yeah, so you're living that now, right?
Watching Professor John Sola on the screen last night on Tubi TV, watching Senka Donofrio, that beautiful girl. Her name means innocence.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Because I'm an actress myself, and I love to read your scripts. I feel like with your personality, I'd love to see what you come up with, because you have no genre, right? I feel like, or do you have
thriller.
a genre?
Typically
thriller. Okay,
yeah.
So we're getting so that's what kind of you go towards. So you inspired by your own brain, but you stick to thriller. But I would love to see what kind of thriller it is, because there's thrillers that make you think. There's thrillers that oh my God, it's all jump scare, right? And there's thrillers that are more psychological.
Yeah,
right.
Well, they tend to be on the psychological side. I try to do the quick tagline: multifaceted characters and complex relationships.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it always works out that way, but that's what I strive
Just the
for each
dynamics
time.
of it.
Yes.
You know, and what I love is, you know, as an actress, and I'm pretty sure this goes for you as well, is like if you can make the audience maybe feel something at the end of their movie, TV show, the episode, or whatever, I feel like you've done your job, right? Because no one wants to sit there and think about, oh my God, that's just cringe, right? No one wants to be sitting there thinking about the writing. No one wants to sit about, you know, they want it to be sober. You're in it. You know, you don't even care that this is fiction, right? That these are actors on screen that you just saw a different movie yesterday. Like, you're in it, and you leave feeling either emotion, sad, epiphany, just something, even if it's a little tear in your eye. You know, even if it's so bad there's a tear, you need to feel something, right? Right? And that's absolutely amazing. And so now that you've done so many different things in your life, do you think that they all kind of encompass each other? I know you talked about the business side of it, but, you know, you also talked about, you know, little politics here and there. You talked about your patents. Do you use all of these things to kind of encompass, put it in your art today?
Well, what you have to, you know, start with a firm foundation. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is what we need to stay alive first. Okay, get those basic life skills down first. Unfortunately, you do have to learn. You need an electrician before you need a musician. Sorry, that's just a fact. Yeah. Okay, so get that done first, and then figure out, you know, what's going to give you the personal sense of fulfillment I was just talking about. And so I really like entertaining people and trying to get stories out there that I hope they haven't quite seen these exact things before. Now, 5,000 years worth of literature, it's a little tough to come up with something nobody's ever even conceived of remotely before. But I think I do it okay.
It's about style.
Yeah.
Style. That's where you gotta go, hey, this is my style. You can't beat me. You get the same story, it's my style.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Selling is what I really hate having to deal with. That's why I need marketing people to help me out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, especially with social media now. It's become the biggest thing. I mean, it works. It's just, it's overwhelming, and it's just a game you got to play before you make the point where you're just like, all right, you know who I am.
Yeah.
You really do. I got to post every 2 hours. But I want to touch base that you also do something like we're doing now. We have a radio show, right? Las Vegas Rocks.
Well,
I
I don't have a radio show. I'm the executive producer of it, but the man really behind it is a fellow named Ron Garrett. He's the creator of the show and the host of the show. He does all the heavy lifting, books all the guests, comes up in formats the whole show.
Right.
He was the entertainment director of the Sahara once upon a
that's
time.
amazing.
Yeah, so quite an accomplished
Great person to have on your side.
Yeah.
But you're in front of the camera, so do you involve yourself apart from being executive producer? Are you on there? Do you talk and meet with people?
Yeah, I'm actually the word from Hollywood. Usually you get me the last couple of minutes of the show and I tell them this is what's going on in Hollywood. And the purpose of it is not just for news, but to tell local Las Vegas entertainers how to take this information and use it for themselves, for their own careers over here.
Yeah. So what's the biggest, probably the most important thing that you've told your viewers or listeners so far about the biggest thing you take from Hollywood to here?
Don't just say what you want to say. Stay focused on your audience. Because the award shows are having a terrible time lately. And the Golden Globes I was especially surprised about because, in my opinion, they did everything right. They dealt with, there were complaints about lack of diversity. Okay, well, they addressed that. They had 103 non-Golden Globe people, chiming in on who should be getting the award. As far as I know, the speeches were all about art and fashion, and still the audience was down. So
yeah,
that's bad news.
I think that's the biggest thing, and I see it, and it's not to be controversial or anything, but it's a thing now where we're no longer focusing on the art. I mean, for me being, a woman of color, there's some times where I feel kind of discouraged only because, I would never get mad if I wouldn't win. If I even get a job that would get nominated, a role that would be put up for something that's serious, that's already an honor with itself, right? And so even if I'm like, hey, but you know what, that person's performance, they deserve it. I wouldn't do that, but it's more about being very humble and being very, just honored to have even the opportunity to go and to be a seated guest. Because, I've been to these award shows, I've been invited, but I'm never going to be nominated, right? When I'm Grammys, things like that. But, I imagine being in there and still being upset. Having everything, having that role that you work so hard and still being upset. And then, it's kind of switching the audience's view on, I should have won it, I didn't because ABCD, instead of just being grateful. Right? Did you kind of see that as well as what's going on in Hollywood?
Orson Welles never won the Academy Award. Alfred Hitchcock never got the Academy Award for Best Director. He got a Lifetime Achievement thing at the end. Edward G. Robinson, I think, never got the Academy Award. You hope you get it, and if you don't, so what? That's how you have to approach it.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be disappointed again. And I don't want people to be disappointed. And remember, part of it's there are just so many people looking for so few jobs.
Right.
Right.
To have that, it's know, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, hey, at the end of the day, that was me. I have it. I'm sitting here with all these amazing people, and that kind of is like a dream within itself. And so now I touched a little bit about, you're bringing Hollywood kind of that knowledge, putting in Vegas sense, but the biggest thing now in show business is that Vegas is like now the second Hollywood, right?
Sure.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel that this is going to be a great breaking point for the actors, the artists, show business here?
I'll tell you how long overdue this is. I'm pretty sure Max Sennett himself. You know who Max Sennett was?
No.
Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, yes. Okay.
The guy who discovered Charlie
Okay,
Chaplin
okay.
back around 1926, I believe, said that there should be a movie industry here in Nevada. Clara Bow? No? Okay. Marilyn Monroe, before her Betty Grable, before her Jean Harlow, before her Clara Bow in the 1920s. She was married to the Lieutenant Governor of Nevada. Her ranch was here in Nevada. Okay, this is Marilyn Monroe of the 1920s.
Right.
We're not a movie industry
Right.
here. Something hasn't been put into place here, and it should have been literally 100 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point, the advantages we have over here, and here's the big one everybody forgets, is the sunshine.
Uh-huh.
The reason LA got going is because you can count on sunny days.
Yeah.
California, maybe not a business-friendly state. Nevada is a very business-friendly state. Things should be all together. I call it the UNLV Film School. I think it's actually called the Greenspun Campus. Is a bigger facility than UCLA. So they've got technical education is available over here.
Mm-hmm.
So all the elements should be
Right.
merging,
Right.
and it hasn't quite happened now. Mark Wahlberg moving out
Right.
might
Yeah.
be just what we need to put it over the
Right.
Boston boy, by the way.
Exactly. I know. I think everyone's like holding their breath. They're very excited.
Yeah.
I know he's filming here
Uh-huh.
next month. So I mean,
Well, he moved here.
yeah. And so, but then his first time, I know because I may or may not be. But anyway, but you know what I'm saying. But that's a big stepping point. I think we're all just like finally, you know. But I feel like what I want to talk about is that you and I just so happen to, we came at different times. You've been here a long, like only been here maybe 3, almost 4 years. You've been here 15, but we're here now, and we're still here seeing this happen. Because if this happened maybe 100 years ago, it would kind of be like another LA. Like we would be one of like how many millions of people that would be out for the movie business. But if it's coming now, it's kind of like we have that chance to kind of bring Vegas and be those people that really started, and then kind of just showcase that Vegas has it, and there's talent here. And obviously, there's brilliance, there's creativeness, and there's amazing people out here, right?
Well, you want to diversify the economy too. I mean, we are the live entertainment capital of the world. Usually, they don't put that adjective in front of it, but there's no reason we shouldn't be a major player as a film entertainment capital.
Yeah, but people always, they look at live entertainment, they're just like, oh, they're not gonna find it. You know what I mean? They have this stigma. And it's hard to break that stigma because Vegas is like people come here, the Vegas thing, showgirls, all these things, but they don't think of it as like, okay, we are made for the cameras too. You know what I mean? Like, give me a script, so let's go. Like, it's not all about LA all the time. And so I'm loving that, and I love that we're getting that opportunity to prove. So is there anything that you're currently working on now as far as a movie in production that is your own or something that you're really excited about that you want to tell our audience?
Okay, well, in production, what we're setting up now is a student bodies. Let's say a horror thriller set on a college campus.
Oh,
So that'll be the next one that actually goes into production with Jagged Edge and ITN distribution.
Yeah.
As far, we're just moving along with the Las Vegas Rocks radio show, just bringing in the live acts and making sure they have exposure so that we can get people to the live venues.
Right.
I'm trying to find licensing deals for the various patents.
Okay. So we're going to see. You're just a man of all trades. And Jack. So he literally came on here saying, "I want to meet that person." He is that person. It's amazing. He's got a quirky personality. You're different, and you're definitely the type of people like what you said in Las Vegas Rocks. You want to get these people out there, showcase what Vegas has, and who these people truly are, and what they have to offer. And I think everyone overlooks everyone. Like, whatever. Yeah, it's another person telling him he wants to be a writer, an actor, whatever. But no, there's more to it. The passion behind it, the work ethic, and what you have going on. And I want to make sure we market those things. And, anyone has opportunities, investors, actors, business partners, it's just such an amazing thing. And so congratulations on all of your success. You have a lot out to be streaming everywhere, here, there, everywhere. And so...
if I may, the easiest way to find the movies would be to go to my website, Starlight.Productions. Not .com, not .org, Starlight.Productions.
So you don't do that .com stuff.
Yeah.
Like it is all about production.
And the reason for that is one of the movies is called Honey Trap, and Honey Trap can lead you in the wrong places, but you get the right link.
That's amazing.
On the
and before we go and ask you one complicated, hard question.
Okay.
Harder question. What is the biggest
Do I get to chew them?
misconception about you?
Jeez. I'm almost afraid to ask people what they think of me in the first place. If I sort of look like this when you're talking, it's not because I'm not interested, it's because I'm like on a script somewhere, I'm on a patent somewhere, so please don't take anything personal, people. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I want you to feel good. I really do.
I love that. I love asking.
Yeah.
I just started really asking that question because I think that your answer sums up your whole journey. Things. It's something that people carry. They're starting from your journey up until now, and it shows how far you've come based on your slow answer. And I feel like you're just someone who's got so much going on, and you're just that guy.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I would love. Thank you. That's all I want.
Can I come back? I want to feel better again. Okay.
Please, if I have more time, I'd love to get into each movie. Please schedule another interview. I'm sure the audience was here. I'm going to dig deep into, your journey in filmmaking, what it's like for you being on sets and telling your story and some funny stories. I would love to talk about that. Solely just about the movie thing, but I want to make sure everyone knows who you are before we get into that. So then everyone just knows this is the guy. This is Tom. This is Tom Hillery. All right. But guys, like I said, Tom Hillery, he was everything like I said he was in the beginning of this interview up until the end, and I'm so honored to have met you and have you here in the hot seat.
You're very kind.
Thank you so much. I would love to have you back on another day. So everyone, this is Tom Hillery, and right after the break, I'm going to say my goodbyes. So thank you, Tom. See you soon.
Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe, with a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything you want to be. So let's bring the community together, and let's bring the world to you. Join us now.
How amazing was today's show, guys? Oh my gosh, so much to cover. Two amazing and very humble people, and basically entrepreneurs, people that can do it all sitting in the seat. I don't think there's something we did not cover today with these two guests alone. So, to me, that was a success for the first episode of The Hot Seat with Priscilla. Now, I did put this on social media. I did say this last week. We are open for submissions. If you think you have what it takes to sit in the hot seat, you can always email admin@socialmediashows.com with your resume, your bio, and you might have a chance to be interviewed by me and sit in the hot seat and have all these amazing viewers in the city of Las Vegas see you and know what you're all about. So I just can't, I'm just so excited. Like Maria's sitting there smiling. Like I hope you guys love the promo reel. I hope you guys love everything about this show. I am really excited to see where we can take the show and then what your kind of comments are about it. We love to get your feedback. It has helped us tremendously with how we kind of, revamp our shows, how we're structurally doing things, and just kind of making it this bigger and better for all of you amazing viewers at home. So once again, my name is Priscilla Moy, and you are watching The Hot Seat with Priscilla, live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. at Social Media Shows. I will see you next week.